Good morning. It's Sunday, November 17th. And as most of you out there know, I'm not very happy that Donald Trump became the 47th president of the United States. I would not vote for him. I do not think he's the man to run this country. And I've been watching him make his choices for members of his cabinet. And he's not making choices, in my mind, for the good of the country. All of his choices, I think, are for the good of Donald Trump. And so I went in to look and see what can be done about this. Do members of Congress, do members of the Senate, do other members of the government have any say about the people that the president picks to work for him and supposedly give him advice? But in my mind, anybody that Donald Trump picks to help him out is a lackey. And you can take a look at the quality of the people that he's picked, and you can understand why I'm saying these things. So Trump is slowly growing his cabinet for his second presidency and bringing in his trusted allies to serve as advisors and cabinet members. And they are trusted allies. They're not going to defy Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form. So in the last week since winning the election, Trump has already named picks for several of the positions, including the Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, the Environmental Protection Agency, and more things. I don't want to go into the names of all the people he's picked so far, because his selections are not really final. No. So according to the Constitution, the president may nominate people for a position within the cabinet, but he will also need the advice and consent of the Senate. And the Senate controls the rules and must vote on approving each of the 24 positions that Donald Trump has control of. And I didn't realize there were 24 positions. I only know of a couple of them. But then again, I am really not deeply embedded in following the absolute rules of the way the president absolutely has to work. But what I know is that once the president-elect nominates an individual for a cabinet position, several rounds of investigation begin, including the submission of a personal financial disclosure report. And then there's a background check. And then there will be a hearing by the Senate. The hearing is usually held by a committee that has jurisdiction over the department to which the individual has been nominated. So that means that the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pension will hear nominees for the Department of Health and Human Services and Education and Labor. And then for other divisions of the government, there'll be other committees that step in and examine the nomination. And the hearings can last for a long time as those committee members question the nominee's background and the nominee's policy stances, so to speak. So this is not just I pick a guy and he's a sure thing. It's up to the committee hearing. And once the committee hearings have ended, the nomination may be called up for consideration and voted on by the full Senate. And that's according to the Center for Presidential Transition. So this is not a simple matter of I pick Joe Blow and he wins automatic. And I tell you that some of the people that Trump has picked right now are very tenuous. Look, he picked Kennedy, who was a far-out nut as far as I'm concerned. He picked him to be whatever it was he picked him for, and he's going to get a lot of scrutiny. So how many votes, how many Senate votes are needed to confirm a cabinet nominee? Well, to be confirmed, the nominee needs to get a simple majority of the vote in the Senate, which is 51 votes out of the 100 senators. Now, that might not be very easy if you are a total wacko, because even though you might have, I think you might have 51 or 52 Republicans who are ready to give you their positive vote, but many of them have ideas of their own. There are some real right-wing Republicans who might stand up and stop one of these nominees by Donald Trump. So it's a tenuous situation right now as to who Trump will get to work with him. And the Senate needs to approve 24 nominees before proceeding. And he's already nominated 8 individuals for positions. And those people include Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, and Matt Gaetz, Attorney General, and Kristi Noem, Homeland Security Secretary. Are you thrilled about those names? I'm not. So if you look at the list of people that Trump has to nominate, there's Commerce Secretary, Education, Energy, Health and Human Resources, the Secretary of the Interior, and there's a bunch of other roles that he's responsible to nominate people for. And based upon his last presidency, he's not going to vote anybody that might be opposed to his view. He's going to want a bunch of lackies in those positions. So we'll have to wait and see what the Senate does about this whole nominating process, and whether or not they agree with some of Trump's crazy choices. So I leave you with that. Democracy on the brink. A new presidency. Which way will it go? You'll be able to tell something by the people who are nominated for these positions. I'm not happy. Have a great day. Bye.